All right, everybody, welcome. It's the this is the Science Olympiad 2024 season kickoff. I'm John Lohr, Vice President of STEM Education for Science Olympiad. Glad you guys could join us. And feel free to put comments in the chat. We'll get going here with a couple of details and introductions. First and foremost, you know who I am. I handle work with our volunteers on content and resources and training and workshops such as this. Hiding in the background and joining me is Dan Nichols, our National Program Director, and Jenny Kopak, our Chief Executive Officer. They're helping me out, and you've seen them pop up, and you'll see them pop up in the chat, as well as with the Q&As. Attendees, if you would please, could you put your name, what state you're from, and what you do with Science Olympiad in the chat so we can kind of get a sense of who's here? That would be greatly appreciated. Right. A couple of things just so everybody's aware for the meeting. It is being recorded. We'll get this material shared out to you, everyone later this week. If you were here early, obviously we're going to be doing some editing on the pre-show, so you don't get to see me fumbling around and staring at the screen. The chat's there. I would ask, though, if you have questions, it's probably better you put them in the Q&A. It's a little bit easier for us to track if you put them under the question and answer feature in Zoom. And we're going to try our best to answer your questions and get through a ton of material. Expectation is we're going to be about an hour. So you can plan on that. And if you have to leave for some reason or you lose connectivity, like I said, it's all being recorded. And last but not least, so everybody is aware, we're doing this as a webinar. So your audio and your video are turned off. So you do not have to worry about inadvertently showing up on screen or being heard across the workshop. All right. So what I was hoping to do was a couple of big picture things. First and foremost, we want to kind of talk a little bit about the 2023 season because it was extremely cool. It was our return to in-person national tournament. Some great stuff happened. I want to make sure those of you who may have dropped off or turned your attention to other things once your season ended or aware of what was going on at Science Olympiad. We're going to talk a little bit and kind of preview the 2024 season for B and C. In particular, we'll talk about the national tournament. We're going to go through some tournament formats. I want to highlight some key dates for you to pay attention to and where you can kind of track dates. Also going to talk about program changes concerning MySO, supports we have for middle school and high school, as well as some new really cool stuff we have going on with elementary school. Last but not least, I hope to highlight and point you towards some resources you can use, as well as give you some tips on setting up your season. And as I said, throw your questions out. Again, best if you use the Q&A feature to drop those in, and we will do our best to answer them. All right. So what I'd like to do real quick is start with seeing how you're doing and in terms of your school year and everything. So I'm going to open up this poll and ask you to tell me how's your school year going. Are you the pretenders and working on the chain gang? Has it been going like the Beatles and it's a hard day's night? Are you still trying to find what you're looking for, as U2 talks about? Are you BTO and you're taking care of business, or has it been walking on sunshine so far? So I'd appreciate it if you kind of give us a sense of how you're doing. Karen, I will see what I can do about adding the polls. I'm sure the poll questions, it's going to show up in the video recording, but I'll see if there's another way I can give you the those options. And I appreciate the positive feedback. Always like hearing that. All right, gonna give it another second. Anybody else last minute? All right. So, good news is it seems like most people's year's going pretty good, right? You're taking care of business, stuff's going well. Congratulations to the 21 of you that are out there and you're walking on sunshine. I'm really glad to hear that. And for those of you that are more in the hard day's night and working on the chain gang vibe, I hope your season turns around for you and that this can be the start of that. All right, so thank you guys for playing along. Now, we're going to turn our attention quick to the 2023 season. Real quick, want to talk to you, and this is a testament to you guys, and this is really saying thank you. Now, obviously, like everything, pandemic kind of messed up, a lot of activities, a lot of programs, but as we return to in person, it was awesome to see teams and students returning as well. We had a 9% growth in our number of our Division B teams, 6% growth in Division C, for a total of 5,825 teams competed in some level of Science Olympiad last year. And probably the best part of all of this was the fact that every state tournament was conducted in person during the 2023 season, along with the nationals that we'll talk about here in a second. We had about 175,000 students across the U.S. were involved in Science Olympiad, and they got to compete in 333 tournaments. In terms of like other ways we're reaching people, our web resources and videos and all that were viewed 7 billion times, right? Which when I saw the number was incredibly shocked, I guess, that we got that high, and it's fantastic. And super excited to see that. We had 4.5 million people visited our Science Olympiad website. We had 17,000 MySO lesson plans downloaded and 45,000 views of the STEM sessions on our YouTube channel. And we'll talk where you can access that stuff. And it's just, I'm glad you guys are finding the materials useful. And we'll talk about some stuff that we're adding because of your use of our resources and what we're making available. In terms of the national tournament, again, can't say enough about our wonderful hosts at Wichita State University and the 120 teams, plus our global ambassador team that got to join us there. It was fantastic to return to be in person. And really, again, can't say enough about the Wichita State University for opening their doors and being willing to take that on. Also, congratulations to our national champs. Kennedy Middle School from California was the Division B champ, and Adelaide Stevenson High School right here in Illinois was the Division C champ. And that was while Adelaide Stevenson has been oftentimes a perennial top 10 school for high schools, this is their first overall Science Olympiad win. So congratulations to them, and nice to see somebody new up on the platform. The other real cool thing we got to do in 2023 is we continued our support for the future. In particular, not only do we give away our 5 founder scholarships to great and well-deserving graduating seniors of Science Olympiad programs, but also because of the generosity of the Science Olympiad Foundation, we were able to award for the first time 2 alumni research grants, our new SOAR grants that went to Dr. Catherine Jackson Jones for medical research at Northwestern University, and Omar Kazi for climate and energy research he's doing at the University of Chicago. So it's fantastic that, again, because of your interest, your support, and just the great work you do with the kids, that we have these wonderful people to continue to honor and support and encourage on their STEM journeys. And last but not least, right, just want to thank you to all of our 2023 partners. Without their support, it wouldn't have been possible, right? I mean, everyone from the government space and the U.S. Forest Service and the CDC Foundation and NOAA, National Eye Institute, but also our corporate partners at Corteva, Aventor, Ward Science, Cleveland Cliffs, academic partners, University of Delaware, and the National Free Flight Society you're going to hear about. Guys, it was a huge group effort from the STEM community to make the 2023 season possible. And again, if you ever get a chance, please make sure you thank them and recognize that there's a lot that goes on to bring this program to everybody. Now, what you really came for, on to 2024, which is going to be our 40th anniversary season. It's really exciting that we get to celebrate that, and it's really exciting that we're going to be here for 40. We've been here for 40 years, and have a very cool story to tell you here in a second. First and foremost, we've already kicked off the season with our summer professional development. If any of you joined us, we had 350 B and C coaches participated either in our virtual event clinic or our new in-person build clinic that we hear. And you can see the build clinic attendees there. If you haven't gotten a chance to do our professional development, I would encourage you to consider it. It's a great way to learn about the events and learn tips and tricks on working with your kids. And we'll talk more about some in-season professional development opportunities in a little bit. All right. As you heard, we're going to Michigan State. You may have heard we're going to Michigan State University for the 2024 National Tournament. Tournament's going to take place Friday and Saturday, May 24th and 25th, 2024 in East Lansing, Michigan. It's going to be an in-person tournament. We got 46 events that we're going to run, plus the trial events in agricultural science for both Division B and C, solar power for Division B and C. And then we'll be doing Mission Possible for Division B and Engineering CAD for Division C. If you want to see what the tournament schedule is, it's published in the rules manuals. It's on the inside of the back cover. So for the Division B book, that's page 84. Division B C book, that's page 87. And the cool thing about the schedule is a lot of times when we run tournaments, most often there's 3 or 4 events running at the same time. That schedule will lay that out for you, so you know that they will. So you can see which events we're kind of planning on running at the same time against one another. And I said there's a real cool story about the fact that we're getting to go to Michigan State, and it's the year 40. It turns out Michigan State, right, for those of you that may not be aware of your Science Olympiad history, was the host of the very first national tournament. So it's incredible that we are getting to go for year 40 back to the site that started it all. And also, you may be unaware, but our founders, or 2 of our founders, Gerard and Sharon Putz, were from Michigan when they founded Science Olympiad. So it's going to be really kind of a cool homecoming year for us in a lot of ways. And as Jenny mentioned, if you're local, there's a ton of stuff going on, even if you're not competing. It happens to be a little bit later in the calendar year, so it's actually going to be Memorial Day weekend. So if you want to tie it in for Division C coaches with an excuse to come see a college campus and kind of get out of town and do something different, please think about joining us at the national tournament to see that all that goes on with Science Olympiad. Now, we've released the 2024 slate. You can see it in your rules manuals. Right, here's this graphic if you need to download it, but I'm going to really talk about it more so in terms of what we have new coming in. In biology, in particular, we have 2 events that are rotating in. We're going to be doing micro mission at both levels, middle school and high school. We're also doing ecology at both levels, middle school and high school. Staying are the traditional anatomy and physiology, disease detectives, and forestry. When it comes to physics, right, we got 3 brand new events, and they're being run at both middle school and high school. Optics is back, air trajectory is back, and wind power is back. So those will be our physics events. In terms of the tech, right, we got our standards of flight, and you get wheeled vehicle again. You're also getting scrambler again and roller coaster, but we've added 2 new events. Towers is going to be the building event this year, and we're bringing in for Division C a brand new event, robot tour. So robots are back in Science Olympiad. When it comes to Earth and space science, right, fossils replaces rocks and minerals. Reach for the stars is replacing solar system, and geologic mapping for high school is replacing remote sensing. And then you still have the usual standards of dynamic planet, meteorology, road scholar, astronomy are all there as well. When it comes to inquiry, there were no events coming in or out. And same thing largely with chemistry. No events really were coming out, and chemistry took on detector building this year. So detector building is around 1 more year, and it's got a very heavy chemistry focus that I think will be a nice challenge for high school students. All right. It's sad to say, despite all of our hard work and everybody, we've already found 2 mistakes we missed. So we have issued rules clarifications. These can be found online. You got the website there it's at the main Science Olympiad website under rules clarifications. The 2 events impacted are flight in both Division B and C, and towers in Division B and C. For flight, we did not catch that we kind of reordered some information, and we identified the wrong place for you to look for bonus scoring. So the rules clarification corrects that and tells you where you can find information about how you achieve a scoring bonus. And in towers, our cutting and pasting skills failed us, and we have an example scoring calculation that we set up incorrectly. That the correct calculation and the correct example is now on the website at the rules clarifications, and that applies to both divisions. All right. I want to talk just briefly about tournaments and trial events. Want to remind everybody that all tournaments are run locally. That means it's up to the states and their regions and their regional directors on the tournament schedule and what events are going to be run, how the events are going to be run and scheduled, right? What format they're even going to use. All of that stuff is decided locally. So if you happen to have questions, you got to go to your tournament and state directors with questions specific to tournaments. As much as we'd like to help you out here at the national office, we're just not the experts, and we don't really have the information to get that to you. Okay, so I'd encourage you to check with your state directors. If you need help connecting with your state director, please let us know. Wendy asked a great question about, can we correct the online version of the rules? No, we do not republish the rule book. It starts to become an issue of version control. All corrections and changes get published on the website under rules clarifications, which is why if you look in the rules, we're very there's a reminder on pretty much every page in the rules that you should double check rules clarifications on the Science Olympiad website to make sure you know where things stand on the events. All right. You'll hear a lot of talk in this presentation about invitational tournaments, right? I want you to keep in mind, for clarification's sake, these are essentially practices. This is an opportunity for you as a team to test where you're at, to try out new combinations of students or new devices. That's also the same for us at Science Olympiad. They're an opportunity for us to try ideas out and pick out and just try different ways to do things, right? If you're looking for a particular invitational, you can find them on our website, and then they're listed by date. And we also tell you kind of the divisions impacted and the teams. In terms of for invitationals, Sherman, yes, depends upon the tournament, but most invitationals allow you to bring multiple teams within the same division. I will tell you though, if you're participating in invitational tournaments, make sure you expect variety. Then again, tournaments are run locally, right? And that's especially true with invitationals. So different tournaments are going to have a very different look and feel and experience, both in terms of how they like handle the logistics and the organization, but also importantly for your kids, in terms of the content and the difficulty and just the different levels of competitiveness. So as a coach, you're going to want to pay attention to that. You're going to find, some really, really hard invitationals out there that draw the cream of the crop and some of the best teams that Science Olympiad has to offer to come and compete there. You're going to find others that are more simpler, more straightforward, more adapted for everybody. So again, if you have questions, reach out to the tournament directors. They'd love to help you. They'd love to fill you in on what's going on. I will tell you that probably one of the best things to come out of the pandemic is the fact that we figured out how to run reasonable tournaments remotely. So you're going to see under the invitationals, there's a number of what we call satellite tournaments. That means you don't physically have to go to the tournament location to compete. You can compete from your school. So it makes things a little bit easier and changes sort of the logistics and the barrier to competing. One thing I will say about invitationals is a lot of times you can be expected to ask to be an event supervisor. So know that going in some cases, and that may be a question you want to ask the tournament director before you sign up. And also keep in mind that if you're asked to be an event supervisor, you're going to need additional adult help to help you supervise your team. So just again, keep that in mind as you kind of map out your season and you think about whether or not you're going to participate in or which invitationals you might be participating in. All right. I want to kind of throw out some dates for the 2024 season for you to keep in mind. Obviously, we've cleared the first two, right? We've done the 2020, shoot, there's an error and I will get that fixed on the final, right? The 2024 rules release, right? We're having our first workshop Wednesday. I will tell you the very first in-season coaching workshops is September 15th, right? And I believe Mississippi is the first state doing it. And I know Florida has an early one. They're online. Then we get into a bunch of great in-person ones coming throughout the rest of the fall. I would encourage you, if you can, try and attend a coaching workshop. You don't know, while it'd be great if you can make the one within your state, because it's going to be very focused on how things are run in your state and how things and what you can expect at the various tournaments in your state. If you can't make one in your state, feel free to go to another state. We got some fantastic ones. They're usually on the weekends, Friday and Saturday night. Jenny put the link so you can take a look at all the workshops up there. Eric is plugging the coaches clinic. They had a date shift. It's going to be October 21st down in Arkansas in Little Rock. So I can't say enough and would encourage you to try and make a workshop. September 19th, our FAQ system opens up. And we'll talk a little bit more on a later slide about the FAQ system, but that's a way for you and your students to ask questions about the events, to kind of clarifying questions about how the events are going to operate, the specifications that are laid out in the events. And that will open on September 19th. October 2nd, we're going to get the logistics manual out. So that will give you guidance on how to run different events. Remember, I said that if you go to an invitational, you may be asked to run an event. Logistics manual can help you there and give you some ideas and recommendations on how to run the event, right? But also, there may be information in there that you find useful on sharing with your students as it gets closer to tournament time. So they understand some of the things that event supervisors may be doing and how things may work. All right. For those of you that are looking for specifically support with flying and you happen to be in the Plains and or Texas, our friends at the National Free Flight Society are running their inaugural Texas Roundup flying event, October 7th and 8th. It's a combination of an opportunity to fly as well as get help and support from a variety of NIFIS flyers for Science Olympiad teams. So if you can make your way down to Texas, you can, that's an activity I would encourage you to check out. And we'll get some more information up about that on the Science Olympiad website. And I know the NIFIS guys have it up on their website as well. October 14th is our first season invitational, right? And then as we already talked about, the opening ceremonies for the national tournament will be May 24th, 2024. Okay. Want to just go through a couple of program changes that we're doing this year. So last couple of years, we've been running a program called MySO. The idea was it was sort of a monthly look at different events. We're phasing that program out. We will not be doing new MySO activities this year. However, all of the lesson plans and activities and things we created are still available on the Science Olympiad website for you to download. They're totally free. In the lesson plans, if you haven't checked them out, we covered 9 different events each year. You're going to get recommendations on activities the kids can do, whether they do them as part of practice or at home. If you're a classroom teacher and you're just looking for some good hands-on activities, I'd encourage you to check them out as well. The focus was largely written for a middle school at home audience, though we recognize they were being used in a variety of ways. So the plans do include modifications for high school students as well as modifications for students with different learning needs. As part of the program, we also did a set of videos that we called STEM sessions. All those videos still exist on the Science Olympiad TV channel. And we'll talk where you can find that, but you can hear some great discussions on epidemiology. One of our Science Olympiad alums joined us and talked about her Science Olympiad journey from being a competitor in the early days of Disease Detectives to her now career as an epidemiologist for Doctors Without Borders. In fact, I believe she was somewhere in Africa when she recorded that video for us. We got some great stuff from guys that are working at alums who were at SpaceX and working in mission control at SpaceX. And there's just some fantastic stories. And the link is now up in the chat if you want to see that. As we phase out MySO, though, we are adding a couple of new resources, particularly for Division B and C. We'll be now offering an event supervisor newsletter that if you think you're going to be an event supervisor, it may be worthwhile signing up for it, right? If you're a state director, we would encourage you to have your, or tournament director, have your event supervisors sign up for the newsletter. We're also going to add some new webinars, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. And the piece I'm really excited about is we're doing some really new cool stuff with our elementary material. So this is Division A resources, right? So as you can see, this month we'll be releasing national rules. So we've worked to create 16 events covering 4 topic areas dedicated for elementary students. And you'll be able to pick those rules up in the Science Olympiad store. We also are doing a coaching manual to give elementary coaches an idea on how to get the program started, how to structure your team, how to help kids prepare for events. And we'll be releasing a tournament guide. So if you happen to live in an area that doesn't have a tournament, you can go ahead and create a tournament and get some ideas on what that might entail. When it comes to our B and C coaches, right, I'd encourage you guys to check this stuff out as well for a couple of different reasons. One, your Science Olympiad programs will be stronger if you're bringing students with experience into your program. So working, and that could either be working with your elementary colleagues to help build an elementary program in your school, or thinking about using your high school or middle school students to work with elementary students to get them engaged and excited about Science Olympiad. So those resources exist, and I would encourage you to check them out or share their existence with your elementary colleagues. All right, at this point, I've been flying, so we'll do a question check. It looks like Dan's answered about 12 of them, and he's working on an answer for this thing on Division B schedules. Anything else on kind of the early stuff that we need to touch base on and check? And thank you, Jenny, for jumping on the stuff in the chat. For people that are asking about links and questions about some of the things I mentioned, Jenny's been throwing those in the chat. Something popped up, and can I talk about the anatomy and physiology event? Sure, anatomy and physiology is back. We have 3 new organ systems. I believe it is the cardiovascular system, the lymphatic system, and the excretory system. It's largely the same kind of format it's always been. There's kind of 3 big things we ask the kids about each system. They need to know the organs that make up it, the kind of structure and function of those organs. They need to understand diseases associated with those organ systems, as well as treatments for those diseases. One of the new things that the biology committee has done for those events are they spell out asking essentially different topics at different levels. So you'll see some content that is only meant for regional tournaments, some content that is meant for state tournaments, and some content that is meant for national tournaments. Again, the 3 systems, they're spelled out in the rules. I believe it's cardiovascular, excretory, and lymphatic. The video will be available later this week. We have to do some editing because I didn't set it up quite the way I thought I did, and we got to clip out the pre-show as you get watching me stare at my screen and talk to myself. All right. Any other questions? Question about sharing this, please. Yes, we would encourage you to share. All right. Okay. Okay. Resources for elementary can be found in the Science Olympiad store. And they can also reach out to Sherry Haug, our director of the elementary program. Same time with the rules draft, Anna, I'm gonna have to take a look at that one, and we'll get to that. Brendan, talking about students signing up for Science Olympiad events. That is largely dictated by your coach and how the team wants to go about stuff. The team registers for tournaments, and then the kids cover the events at the tournament. And we'll talk about some ideas here in a second to help matching kids up. So on that note, I'm going to jump ahead and we kind of get into the resources piece, and hopefully, where is it? Parminder, I hope this will get to some of your stuff for elementary. First and foremost, if you haven't, when I talk Science Olympiad resources, I always talk about the Science Olympiad website. This is my go-to for everything. You've already seen that we have links up there and information about workshops and tournaments. If you ever need to try and track down information about things going on in your state, that stuff's there. In terms of Division B and Division C, every event has a unique page for Division B and for Division C. On that page, we just got a question about study material. You can find study material. You can find release tests. You can find links to our partners. There's a ton of stuff up on the event pages. Okay. Then we've kind of talked about our FAQs and rules clarifications. They're done through the website. The logistics manual, score sheets, checklists, all that stuff is up on the website. You'll also find information about trial events. When it comes to elementary school, Division A, right? You can find intro activities up there. You can find the Science Olympiad at home videos and recommendations for activities. The store will have from the Science Olympiad store we'll talk about in a second. They're going to have resources and information for you. All right. And last but not least, we had mentioned the MySO archive, and Jenny had shared that in the chat. That's up there for you guys as well. I think another resource that is definitely underused, and I'll be honest, it took me a while to wrap my head around it, is Science Olympiad TV. This is our YouTube channel. Here you're going to find a video specific to events. So we got some great stuff up there about bridge construction and testing. And I know that we're doing towers this year, but kids can learn a lot from watching what's going on there. It's still testing a structure. There's a fantastic bunch of videos up there about flight. We have the U.S. Forest Service webinar that they did on forestry is here. I would point you back towards a great series of lectures and video lessons that was done a few years ago for Crave the Wave. But because of the overlap between Crave the Wave and optics, students that are going to participate in optics this year may find them some of those lessons incredibly valuable. The MySO STEM sessions are here, and those really have a great career connection focus and kind of show through the conversations with these alums and professionals, show you the different places that a love and passion for a variety of Science Olympiad events can take you in the future. For those of you that are looking to do explain Science Olympiad to school administrators, parents, get kids excited, there's a fantastic, we got tournament recaps and a whole variety of hype videos. There's our new Science Olympiad Be Part of It video series. If you're looking for career and other kind of deep interest stuff, the 2021 STEM Expo that was part of the national tournament at Arizona State University is there. You also have a bunch of workshop videos get posted there as well. So I'd encourage you to spend some time and check out Science Olympiad TV. Now, in terms of resources and things people are looking for, Science Olympiad store. There's the link. You can also find it off of the webpage. You can pay by credit card, or if you're working through a school and your school's able to buy it, you can use a school purchase order. For Division B and C, we have the old test packets that show you the tests that were used at all the national tournaments. Probably most useful, and I know people are looking for resources to work with their teams this year. We have the what we call our starter packs. And these starter packs are 4 events, and we'll talk about them a little bit more in some detail, but they're going to give you information about the event as well as example tests and practice questions. If you want to buy a whole bunch of them, you can buy them in stacks, and we'll get through that. If you're looking for resources to be a Science Olympiad coach and improve your coaching program, we have a manual that takes you through, and we'll get into detail, takes you through a season and tells you how to do that. We still have some resources and CDs and videos floating around. If you want to do a national workshop, you can purchase your registration there. When it comes to Division A, again, that's where you're going to find the rules. That's where you're going to find the coaching manual. That's also where you're going to find links to register for any Division A workshops and training. Last but not least, if you're running a tournament and you want to buy medals, right, you can purchase your tournament medals here through the Science Olympiad store. All right, when it comes to the starter packs, right, the big thing here is we focus on core knowledge events, right, but also hybrid events as well. So it's really the knowledge-based things. Almost all of them have been updated for the 2024 season, or will be updated for the 2024 season, and reflect 24 content. So, and for anatomy, yes, it will hit cardiovascular, expiratory, and lymphatic. Here's just a sampling of some of the things that are available. They cover notes about the event as well as the content, a bunch of different sample tests. The whole idea here is it gives you a starting place. You can then bundle them because they're doing different events, right? And we have a couple more. There's probably at this point in time 14, 15 events are up there, and we'll be releasing a few more this month as well. So bear with us as we kind of finish some stuff up. All right. Okay. Well, again, if you're looking for help in terms of your coaching, we got this coaching program that we created a few years ago. It really walks you through how to run a Science Olympiad program at your school, right? It gives you an overview on coaching, gives you ideas. It sets up 26 weeks of practice, right? It's figuring you're going to practice twice a week. It's got handouts and worksheets, right? Built in, right? And the really important thing, and this is a theme we'll come back to in a little bit, right? I think everybody in Science Olympiad focuses a lot on the tournaments, and that's great. And the tournaments are probably the most obvious thing to focus in on. But the reality is kids will spend far more time practicing for a tournament than they will at a tournament. So the idea here is to try and make sure there are activities that are motivating the kids and helping them learn as much as we possibly can. Robin, I'll get back to your thing on funding here in a minute, because I do have a suggestion on funding for you. If you're looking for kits, and would point you towards Ward Science, they're the official kit provider for Science Olympiad. So in divisions B and C, so middle school and high school, they essentially have 3 kinds of materials for you. They have kits specific to events. So if you need balsa wood and glue and resources to build your tower, you can purchase that through Wards. They have the stuff for flight. Exciting for those Division C teams. They have kits for both robot tour and detector building if you need those supplies. If you need just general material kits, so you don't have enough glassware, or you're worried about collecting things for the chemistry events, they sell a chemistry kit. If you really want to get super accurate with the measuring your vehicles and some of those events, they have a photogate system you can purchase. And if you just need general science supplies, you got some there as well. For Division A, there's really kind of two different things. There's the Science Olympiad in a box, where you can purchase the materials you need to run 10 Science Olympiad events. And it's all packaged together for you. Plus, we also offer our signature event kits. And this is everything from the materials you need for one event. So to practice straw towers or rocks and minerals or fossils, gummy bear long jump, all that stuff is there at Wards. Now, I was mentioned in the chat, but there are a ton of other sites, right? There's our partner sites. So our great partners at NASA through their Universal Learning Program have Science Olympiad specific websites. NOAA does a bunch of Science Olympiad specific websites. The CDC, National Free Flight Society, USDA, US Forest Service. There's also the Student Forum at SciOly. If you're looking for great content, lectures, right? There's Khan Academy, has a bunch of stuff. If you want to go old school in the old kind of PBS and learning videos, Annenberg has a bunch of videos. The only thing I would say is when you do these, if you go to these sites, they're not necessarily Science Olympiad official. That means it's their take on Science Olympiad, right? That may not necessarily be our official take or our event supervisor's take. So with the exception of our partner sites. So please keep that in mind if you're reading stuff on the forum, Khan Academy, Annenberg Learner. All right. We've already found our first workshop Wednesday, but we're going to do these, started this program during the pandemic. We're going to continue it again this year. So it's a bunch of virtual workshops. We're going to vary the topics. They're recorded, so if you can't make them live, all the other details right found on the workshops page, and we ask that you do register for the workshop, and we'll make sure if you can't make it, we send you materials. Okay. All right. This year we're also launching new webinars, right? These will be starting in October. They're going to be student focused, and this is really inspired by the webinars we've done the last couple of years with the US Forest Service, as well as NIFIS. So this is a chance for kids to kind of get in the weeds a little bit and get information. So the first webinar program we're going to launch is called Tech Tuesdays. It's going to be very focused on the how-tos of building something and get into some of the specifics of that. The other one will be Thinking Thursdays. These are going to focus on the core knowledge events, and it's going to be about understanding the content. We'll get details in the newsletters and up on the webpage for what the topics are and how to register and get more information about those. Also, you heard me mention that you wanted the best way to keep up to date. Please encourage you to sign up for our newsletters. We have a general one that's just about the Science Olympiad program. We have an alumni focused one. We have an elementary focused one. And now we're going to be doing an event supervisor focused one. Just they're monthly, cover a wide range of opportunities. There's the link, and it's also been dropped in the chat. All right, this comes back, I believe, at Robin. Asked a question about fundraising. Our official fundraising partner is Double Good Popcorn. And if you haven't checked out Double Good before, or you've experienced double good. It is a fantastic model for fundraising. And I'll tell you, I have 2 high school students now, and they're in sports. So it seems like we're constantly fundraising, and I generally hate their fundraisers. Double good is simple. What happens, you as the coach, you create an online store. You ask your students and parents and friends and everybody to share it out. People buy the popcorn online. Double good ships the popcorn directly to the people. And then when your store closes, they send you the check. They give you 50% of sales. So like, I believe these containers, last I saw, were selling for about $32. That means for every one of those containers you sell, you're making $16. It's a better rate of return than a lot of eat and earns and all that stuff. And then here's the cool things about it is, one, it's really good popcorn. And I think the reason it's really good popcorn is double good doesn't make it until your fundraiser ends. So as Jenny just put in the chat, you get 4 days to sell all through kind of social media and this online e-commerce store, and getting people to go directly there and buy. And then when your store closes, double good starts to make your popcorn. So your popcorn is shipped as fresh as it can possibly be. Unlike, some of these other fundraisers where I think some of the popcorn may have been made and canned in the Nixon administration, and they're sending it out. So I definitely encourage you to do that. I know other suggestions, Jenny threw out organizations. On a Science Olympiad focused front, a lot of teams started doing invitational tournaments as a way to fundraise, because teams are looking for more opportunities to play. Teams are looking to give kids more experiences than they were getting just at a regional or state tournament. So hosting an invitational may be an option that you can go with. Obviously, there's eat and earns. So variety of restaurants, depending upon where you're at, Culver's and Chili's and just you name it. A lot of restaurants will say, okay, if your people come in, we'll give you a portion of the sales for the people that come in. Is another opportunity to do that. All right. One other one I will share with you is real quickly. If you haven't seen it before, check out Queen of Hearts raffles. They've been hugely popular here in Chicago and bring in some money. All right. I got real quick. First and foremost, tips for think about building your team. I would encourage you to involve more than 15 students, right? There is a difference between those students involved in your program and those students that end up on your roster. You can only have 15 students compete at a tournament, but you can have 20, 25, 30, how many ever students that you want participate. And I love this picture from the movie The Hangover, because it's a nice example of this idea of the hanging out, messing around, geeking out triad. And this is research done out of I believe it was University of Minnesota, where students bring different interests to an activity. There are the students that are super invested, right? The geeking out, they really want to do well. There are the kids that are just there because it's kind of cool and they're kind of interested. They want to be around. And then there's the students that just want to be around their friends. Science Olympiad allows you to involve all those different kids. So again, would encourage you to get you to think about and build a larger team if all possible. When it comes to distributing your team, there are a ton of options. I would tell you, I think my favorite one is the 3-2-1 exit ticket, where you ask your students to name 3 events that they'd love to participate in, 2 events that they'd be okay with doing, and 1 event they absolutely don't want to participate in. They have no interest in it whatsoever. There you go. But importantly, whatever you do with your team, you really should make sure it reflects what you guys are trying to do and what your kids are trying to do and achieve out of all of this. Because if they're not enjoying it and you're not enjoying it, there's no point in doing the activity, right? You want to make sure everybody's doing it for the right reasons and participating for the right reasons. I'd encourage you to think about doing stuff by event type. So treat core knowledge events the same, lab events, build events, hybrid events. Big thing for new coaches, start now preparing for the future. I know it seems silly, and as teachers, I hate asking or like suggesting you got to do one more thing, but document your practices. Even if you just write your plans down on the back of a cocktail napkin, right? Get a rough idea of what you want to do with the day and what you want to do with the kids that are there, right? You can make notes if you change it, right? And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's got to work for you. Other thing I would encourage you to do is start collecting and saving the information. Probably the most important thing you can do as a coach is do your set up a standard organizational system for your core knowledge events. That allows you to build as time goes on. But the other more important thing is it also supports you if you have any last minute changes and you got to swap kids out at the last minute. If everybody's been approaching core knowledge the same way, right, it's easier to make those changes. And definitely save your builds. You can see the reasons down there. Probably the biggest one is you can reuse parts if you need to. A whole variety of motivational tools. Since we're tight on time, encourage you to check them out, but I want to show off this one. It's called an interaction log. And it's a progress monitoring tool that came out of collaborative coaching work I did years ago. The idea is it puts the onus on the kids to tell you 4 things. What's working well, or what they think is working well, what they think needs to be improved in their preparation, the steps that they need to take to reach those goals, and also the things they need from you as a coach, right? So it could be as simple as, hey, I really don't know, I got to get to the store. We need to get the right kind of glue. Okay, coach will go to the store and get the glue, or coach will order the glue online. And then you set the next time you're going to check back in. The great thing about it is the kids kind of give you their take, but because it's a conversation and it's a collaboration, you as a coach can help shape what's going on and kind of help shape the next steps. So if you get kids that are particularly hard on themselves, you can help them see that, hey, things are better than it seems. If you think kids are overly optimistic, you can help kind of get them focused and align interests. All right. At that note, I've been flying. Questions? Build materials, Science Olympiad store. I will tell you, people, Charisse, Hobby Lobby is great. Ace Hardware, Michael's, sometimes has a bunch of places. Dan's throwing an answer up. But sometimes you get big box store stuff. So there's just a variety of stores and potential places. All right. So, but Jordan asked for resources and tips for a new non-science teacher coach. I think a couple of places you can look. One, I would encourage you to check out the event stacks or the event packs, right? I think we're going, I'm not sure what the price is this year because we just made a price change, but if you find an event that's difficult, I would encourage you to check those out. I would encourage you to check out the information on scioli.org because you're going to hear from other students who competed in the event in the past. A lot of the college alums may give you some places there. I think for the biggest tip I would have, just as a brand new team, brand new coach starting out, organize stuff, have your kids organize stuff the way you want them organized. The big thing about the organization process is you're going to stay there. The kids are going to change. So it's got to work for you. It's got to be a way to explain it. Okay. So it's akin to like a football coach saying, this is the offense I run, right? The coach doesn't necessarily change the offense every year for his players. It's you run the coach's offense. Myosha, I think, if you're getting 90 minutes, that's a nice, that's not a bad amount of time. You're going to want to make sure, again, I'd focus on event types and kind of rotate through different event types. So, all right. Jenny's going to answer Karen's question. Let's see. I know Jenny threw up my thing in the chat. Student webinars. Yes, the Thinking Tech Tuesdays and Thinking Thursdays, we record our stuff and we will post it and make it available. Oh, I'm glad I got the name right. Thank you for the positive feedback on that one. Normally I'm very bad at that, so that makes me quite happy. All right. All right, everybody. We're a little bit over. Hopefully everybody, oh, and last but not least, again, coaching stuff. I'd encourage you to check out the coaching program. Just want to say we got, I think the last one. Thank you guys for attending. I hope you have a fantastic season. Thank you for all the hard work you do with the kids. Knowing you're out there doing this stuff is really what makes it worthwhile for all of us. And, just makes it, again, makes it worthwhile. So thank you guys for all you're doing as coaches. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. And again, if you haven't signed up for newsletters, please sign up for newsletters because that'll keep you in touch with us. Have a great night.